We can do our own, like, different levels of intoxication.
Yeah.
Get someone hammered.
Easily.
We can't change the past, but we will change your future. GRL Law. Thanks for tuning in to GRL Raw. Check us out at grllaw.com.
Welcome, everybody, over the air, online, all of the above, to the final episode of GRL Raw.
2023.
2023. We'll pop a cork. Oh, there we are.
Hopefully got that.
We get sample our new whiskey, courtesy of our friends at Foundry. Not courtesy, we had to pay them.
It wasn't a gift.
It wasn't a gift.
It was a business transaction.
But it looks cool. It tastes pretty good.
The label is awesome. Cheers.
1 year.
Yep.
2 years. It's really good. Whoever came up with that did a great job, and it wasn't me.
It is really good, actually.
I have to give compliments. The best thing, though, this is the last episode of GRL Raw for 2023.
It is.
And we're going to go out with a bang.
We are.
We're going to talk about, we're throwing what we've done this year, format-wise.
Out the door,
in the trash.
and giving the people what they want.
This is what they want.
It is.
This is absolutely what they want. We're going to talk about something that we know and know well here at GRL, which is what?
OWI.
Which means what?
Operating while intoxicated.
Some states call it DUI, DWI, OMVUI.
Some people call it drunk driving.
Mm-hmm.
Some people call it drugged driving.
Some people call it a Friday.
Yep.
So
some people call it a Monday morning.
That's true. That's true. We've been doing OWI defense at GRL since we started. That's a foundational part of our practice. And what we want to do and what we're going to do with this episode is literally pull the curtain back.
Yep.
On little known ways that people may not think about that otherwise law-abiding citizens can find themselves on the wrong end of an operating while intoxicated investigation.
Yes.
And as always, we are going to provide action points.
Yep.
Okay. But before we start, that we have there's going to be a public service announcement component to this.
Yep.
Because it's important. This is my life's mission, which is to get people to know, as many people to know the answer to this question as is humanly possible.
Because people need to know it.
You need to know it. The fact that it's not a required question that you have to get right before you get a driver's license, I think is a disservice to our society.
I agree.
And what's the question?
It is, what is the minimum sentence a judge can sentence you to if you essentially kill someone, vehicular homicide, while you are over the legal limit or intoxicated, under the influence, or drugged?
Yeah. So what's the minimum a judge can give somebody if they drive drunk or drive high,
Yep.
get in a wreck, and kill somebody else?
Yep.
Minimum. Bare minimum.
Minimum.
Regardless, it could be Mother Teresa. It could be the best human being ever, never been in trouble before. What is the minimum? We want everybody who's listening or watching right now
to give a guess.
To write down an answer. Not if you're driving, don't write it down. Say it out loud so you put it out in the universe. What's your answer? And we're going to come back to that at the very end with the true legal answer.
Yep.
Okay?
It's jarring a little bit.
It should be.
Yeah.
It should be. And it should be, write it on your dashboard if you have to. All right. But now we can have some fun.
Yes.
For a little bit before we ruin it at the very end.
Yes.
Okay. How are we having fun?
Well, we're going to do the quip of the month, which we've kind of forgot to do for the last several episodes. But as I'm sure everyone can guess, we have a few related to OWI. But there's one that I will never forget.
I'll set the scene and you lay down the quote. So this is a elderly gentleman, and by elderly, I mean like 80s. Good old boy. There was an issue with the road. Car went off into the ditch, flipped a trailer, like a hauling stuff trailer, not a mobile trailer or anything. And as he's sitting there talking to the young buck officer who is wanting to go down the drinking and driving OWI investigative side. They are literally debating what is drinking and driving or what is driving while drunk. And our hero throws out this gem to literally, it's 80-year-old dude.
Yep. With a toothpick in his mouth.
With a toothpick in his mouth, his Carhartts and his Wranglers, and says it to this 23-year-old officer.
Yep.
What is it?
You and me, sir, we got different ideas of drinking and driving. Which is valid, because I think that legally speaking, and what people that maybe don't know much about operating while intoxicated cases, haven't had someone close to them that's had one, I think a lot of people would be a little shocked at what can constitute as an OWI.
Well, we're going to blow the lid off this.
We are.
People are going to be like, no way.
Yep.
Like, we are going to destroy Reddit.
Yes.
With this.
I hope so.
I mean, it's happening.
Yep.
First things first, let's talk about what are anytime we're involving a law, there's something called elements. And
Yep.
Elements are what the state has to prove, what the prosecution has to prove to establish that the offense occurred.
Yep.
Break down for us what the elements of OWI, operating while intoxicated, are in Iowa.
Okay. So 1, operating.
Makes sense.
2, motor vehicle.
Okay.
And 3, intoxicated or above a certain level of intoxicating substances in your body.
So operating a vehicle,
Yep.
a motor vehicle, while intoxicated.
Yes.
Intoxicated, there's really 3 primary ways. One is over the legal limit of 0.08 with alcohol.
Yep.
The other is with any amount of controlled substance present in your system.
Any amount.
And we're not going to ruin it because
Yeah.
we're going to talk about that. And then the other alternative is if they don't have a test.
Yep.
While under the influence of alcohol, drug, or a combination of it.
Yep.
Drug, not controlled substance.
Mm-hmm.
That's an important distinction. And under the influence, if I put you on the definition of under the influence, can you spit that out?
Judgment impaired, your your physical movement.
Yep.
What is it? What am I
So
trying to say?
it's the technical definition is when by consuming alcohol, your judgment's impaired, your emotions are visibly excited, you've lost control to any extent of your bodily actions or motions, or your mental abilities are affected.
Yep.
Very vague, very generalized. What fits that? What doesn't fit that? People would be shocked at what tries to get pounded into that square.
Absolutely.
Square. Is it square peg or round hole? You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I think you said it right.
So let's talk about some of when we're looking at operating while intoxicated, most people think I got to be hammered, driving a car, get pulled over for bad driving, take a breath test, I'm way over, and so then I'm going to jail. But what are some misconceptions? Like I think we have 9 or 10 of the top ways that good people can get dinged for OWIs without even knowing it.
Yep.
What do you got at number 1?
I would say 1 is you don't have to be above a 0.08. And I think that's something that is people get confused about. You don't have to be above a 0.08. If you're under the influence of alcohol less than a 0.08, you could still be convicted of an OWI.
So if you appear impaired, if
Yep.
your judgment's impaired, if your emotions are excited and you take a test and you're saying an 06, there are counties that will still prosecute you and still try to get you convicted of OWI.
Yep. Okay. Other ones, you don't have to be driving down the road.
Okay, we're going to talk about that one on our list. That's a good one. And that catches a lot of people.
It does.
They don't really appreciate what they're saying when they say it.
They don't.
All right, so let's get after our list.
Okay.
Top ways that top secret ways police officers can ring people up for OWI in Iowa that most people may not think of.
Well, our first one, we have termed self-snitching, which there is a criminal defense lawyer on YouTube. His name's Bruce Rivers, Criminal Lawyer Reacts, and he talks about don't self-snitch all the time. So we stole that from him.
Borrowed it.
We're going to tell you in the context of OWI some ways that we see people self-snitching, even though they're not saying, "Hi, officer, I'm driving drunk," but they are.
So one of them is just making contact with law enforcement voluntarily.
Yes.
After you've been drinking, for whatever reason, I can think of a story where the guy's driving around on a UTV.
Yep.
Pulls up next to the sheriff.
Yep.
What's going on, guys? How's it going today?
Yep.
Well, we're looking for a guy driving a Polaris Ranger.
Looks like we're looking for
partner.
Yeah.
Is that a case of beer in the back of your Ranger?
Yep.
Boom. Self-snitch.
Yep. Other ones, going to the scene of a traffic stop if your friend's being pulled over, your friend is in some trouble and you think that you can somehow help.
Yep.
You go to the scene. You've also been drinking. Great way to get an OWI.
Going to bail somebody out.
Yeah.
After you've been drinking.
You walk into a police station, keys in hand. Hey, I'm here to pick up so-and-so. Okay, well, you have to be the responsible party, not under the influence, breathalyzed, drunk. Oh, you can just join him back there.
Iowa City game day.
Yeah.
If you ever go to have to bail out somebody for public intox, they literally have a deputy sitting in the corner with a PBT. I almost made that mistake until I realized what was going on, and I turned around and
I also almost went.
He had to stay.
Out one time. Yeah.
he had to hang out a little bit longer.
Yeah. Yep.
Wise to that.
Yep.
Okay. So if your friend's hemmed up with law enforcement, you are not going to go in and save the day.
Absolutely not.
Leave it alone. It's their problem at that point. They may need to call you. They may want to call you. Be available for that.
Yep.
But don't go insert yourself into a law enforcement investigation. That's a really, really good way to join your friend in jail.
And you probably will join your friend, and it's not going to be like you're just trying to help your friend.
No, they don't like it.
They don't.
And for good reason. There's officer safety reasons for that. They can't have people running around interfering with the
if you're bailing someone out of jail, especially if they're drunk, you do need to be released to a responsible party.
Right.
And you can't just pick up your friend and then go back to Summit in Iowa City.
You could.
You could.
You could. Not advisable. No. Other ways on the self-snitching.
Let's talk about admissions to drinking.
This is my biggest thing. I think a lot of people instinctively answer law enforcement. They'll always get asked, when was your last drink?
Yep.
Everybody. I don't know why. A lot of people will say, well, like a couple hours ago.
Yep.
A couple hours ago. That does not help your case.
It doesn't.
It doesn't say, oh, okay, you're fine. You're fine. Go on your way.
And that's what everyone says.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it truly is like in automatic almost. That's what people say. 2 hours or a couple hours ago.
Yeah, couple beers, couple hours ago.
Yep.
Now, the other thing that people may not realize when they're giving that answer, if they're close, if their test result is an 09 or an 08 or a 10 even,
yep,
and they're saying that they haven't drank for a couple of hours, they're taking away a defense of rising alcohol.
Yep.
Because when you take a drink, it takes your body time to metabolize and process the alcohol to get into your bloodstream. You can be theoretically lower at the time you were driving than at the time you take a test later on. So if you're within 30 minutes of driving and you're at an 09 or a 10, we can make a run at a rising alcohol defense.
Yeah.
If you don't say that you had a last drink 2 hours ago.
Yep.
Right? You're hemming yourself up without even knowing it.
Because obviously your BAC would have to go down.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And if you're 0.1.
Correct. You're on your way down.
You are on your way down.
And the other one is when you have, say you swerved to miss. This is the rut. We're in rut, right?
Yeah.
As Scott will tell us, it's deer season.
Yep.
Okay. Deer steps out in front of you. You swerve to miss it. You end up in the ditch. Wisely call a friend to come get you because you didn't hit anybody else. Nobody else is involved in the accident. Nobody's injured. You get home. Law enforcement tracks down your vehicle, finds out where it's registered, gets home to talk to you. And you answer the door. First of all, do you have to answer the door?
No.
You don't have to report a single vehicle accident that nobody gets hurt in, then that doesn't result in property damage to anybody else. Right?
Yep.
You're in the ditch. You're home. You don't have to answer the door. Second of all, officer will always ask, were you driving?
And you'll say, you didn't catch me.
That's what they'll say. But what do you don't have to answer that question.
You don't have to answer no. And like if that happens and they knock on your door, this is how this is going to go. So don't be surprised.
Yeah.
But you don't have to respond. You could also say no, or you could just say, I'm not going to answer your questions today, sir.
I'm going to politely exercise my right to shut the heck up and not answer questions. It feels dumb to do. We always say the Fifth Amendment is the easiest one to understand, but it's the hardest one for people to execute.
Yes.
And to invoke, because for whatever reason, people feel like they have to try to lie their way out of things or talk their way out of things. Just don't answer the question. How are they going to prove you were driving? I promise you, if nobody's hurt, there's no property damage. They're not going to waste time with DNA evidence, anything else.
And if they're coming to your door, knocking on your door and asking you if you're driving, it's probably because they have no proof that you were driving.
Oh, imagine that.
So if you want to not get arrested for OWI, don't tell them you're driving.
And have you had anything to drink since you got home?
Yes.
They all say what?
No.
Everybody says no for some reason. Nope. And then, were you drinking early? Well, yeah, at the bar, but you didn't catch me driving, so I'm good. It's called indirect evidence.
Yep.
Right? Circumstantial evidence.
You leave a car in the ditch, and they come to your house. You admit you were drinking earlier at a bar, and that it was you drinking. That's an OWI.
This is the one time I can ethically and properly tell people that it is a good idea to answer the door with an open beer in your hand, taking a couple sips.
Yes.
And it's not going to hurt. And if there's empty beer cans inside the living room when they look, that's not going to hurt either.
It won't.
You can get as drunk as you want in your house.
At any time.
At any time you want. Do it. Do it to it, as long as you're of age.
Yes.
Okay. Self-snitching, does that cover self-snitching?
I think so. That's the verbal self-snitching.
Verbal self-snitching.
Yeah.
Next one is what?
Equipment failures.
This is huge.
Massive.
Gigantic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. In fact, C. Murph, Dope Yoda, we lost the case of the Iowa Supreme Court just this month.
We did.
On license plate covers. We can definitively say if you have a license plate cover covering a license plate in the state of Iowa, what should they do?
Take it off.
Take it off. First of all, what are you trying to do? Keep your license plate clean?
Yeah, protect your license plate.
I mean, what it is, they're trying to get the deflection on these stupid cameras. You know where the cameras are. Slow down. Take that off. That gives them a reason to pull you over.
Yes.
License plates in general give law enforcement more reasons to pull people over for stupid reasons than anything else.
Just equipment failures generally.
Yep. License plate frames. If your frame covers any part of the license plate, any letter, any number, take it off. That's a violation. If you don't have your front license plate on and you're registered in Iowa, that is a violation. Put your front license plate on. I know your bumper isn't going to be happy, but you're going to follow the law.
Yes.
Registration sticker.
Put it on as soon as you get it.
In the right location.
Yes.
Bottom left corner.
This isn't like a collection.
They literally on your license plate, there is a shadowed place for the sticker to go.
Yes.
That is the only place it goes.
Yep.
Don't put it on the top left, top right. Don't make a collection of this is how many years I've had this license plate. Bottom left, that's the only place it goes.
Yes.
Easy. Should be.
I did drive around for like 3 weeks with mine in my passenger seat. I'm not going to lie.
We're not doing that again, right?
No.
Okay.
I didn't let it expire, though.
Good. Tint.
Tint is not a good idea here.
It's an automatic reason to get pulled over.
And it's a great reason for them to just get real all up close and personal with your windows. And
I know it looks cool. Mm-hmm. I know it keeps your car cool. Mm-hmm. It's illegal in Iowa. You don't need it.
No.
Take it out.
Lights.
All the lights.
Turn them all on.
Your auto lights. So I almost did this. I actually ran into Poncheros with Blake after hockey.
Okay.
To get Poncheros, and I was going to leave the car on because I thought he was going to want to stay in the car.
Yep.
Not go in. He came in with me, but I turned my lights off so I wasn't going to shine in the Poncheros. Came out, got out onto the road, sober.
Yep.
Okay. On a paunch run after hockey practice, and I had forgot to turn my lights on. Caught it, thankfully.
Yep.
I'm like, duh. It happens all the time.
It's easy, especially if you don't have auto lights. And if you do have auto lights and you turn them off,
You always
danger.
forget. Always forget.
Danger.
The other one that's coming up with winter right around the corner.
Snow.
Dirt,
You
grime.
you need to clean your car off from snow.
Literally, they can pull you over if it's snowing and there's a snowstorm and it's wet snow and it sticks on your plate. If law enforcement can't read the plate, that's a reason to pull you over.
Even if you're driving around with like your windows half covered. You need to
Yep.
get the snow off of your car because they want to see inside of the car. You also, it's obviously extremely important
Right.
as a motorist
To
that
see where the hell you're going.
Yeah, you can see not just right in front of you,
Right.
but also right next to you.
The lighting, auxiliary lights, let's just throw out blue lights
Yep.
just because we can't say that enough.
My sister had that happen once.
You cannot have a blue light
Yeah.
on a vehicle. You can't have it on a boat. You can't have blue lights unless you're an emergency responder.
Actually, it was like her front lights that looked kind of blue. She got pulled over for it. Probably didn't get a ticket, but
I've always wondered is it Uber that has the blue lights in their front or Lyft?
that's a good question. Uber, I think.
I think it's Uber. Technically,
It's just blue lights.
blue lights. Displaying blue lights on a vehicle
Okay,
anywhere.
that's interesting.
Yep. If you got those cool auxiliary lights on your lowrider hoopty, that's a reason to get pulled over.
There's a few cases in Iowa case law. It talks about just how many rules of the road there are, and I have the binder in my office
Yep.
right now, and I think it's this big
Yep.
of like literally rules of the road that you can be pulled over for. There's so many reasons that you can be pulled over. Equipment violations are unacceptable.
Do a walk around.
Yes.
It's not that hard, and we'll talk about that
Yeah.
on our action points. This one, next one, but this ain't a car.
You can get an OWI in not a car.
Stop.
You can.
No.
Yes.
My riding lawnmower.
Absolutely.
That's bull.
It's a motorized vehicle.
How about my UTV?
Yep.
Those Polaris Rangers.
Yeah, and be careful on those.
They tip.
They do.
Golf carts.
Yep.
Snowmobiles.
Yep.
Electric bikes.
No.
Depends.
On the amount, the like wattage,
Yep.
the watts. In
750 watts.
Yep.
If you're under 750 watts, you can get hammered on a bike and not get an OWI. Public intox, but not OWI.
Yep.
What? Okay. I don't believe this. So like a motorized scooter or those motorized coolers.
Yep.
Going down Melrose game day, I'm driving that thing, had 10 beers going to the game. I can get OWI on that?
You can. Well, so we looked this up yesterday a little bit about what the definition of electric bike is and how many watts. I think a cooler might classify as a seat or a saddle.
But you got to have pedals
I thought it was two wheels.
and pedals
Okay.
and a saddle seat.
Okay.
So you throw some pedals on that thing.
Why not?
What's the definition of a motor vehicle? So OWI applies to any motor vehicle. What is a motor vehicle?
Self-propelling and motorized?
And
I don't remember.
not on rails.
Not on rails. Duh.
So self-propelled vehicle that it's operated not on rails.
Yep.
So,
That's
I mean, let's be honest. If you're on a railroad, you got different problems with OWI.
certainly.
Federales.
Yes.
Okay. So it ain't a car. So golf cart. Let's talk about ninth green of Waveland. I'm 8 beers deep. Is that OWI?
You're operating while intoxicated.
But I'm on private property.
Doesn't matter.
So that's a bonus nugget.
Yeah.
In Iowa, it's anywhere in the state, you cannot you want to do donuts in the farm field? That's still operating
so at your
while
own risk.
it's still private property does not save you from an OWI in Iowa. A parking lot still qualifies.
Yep.
It's anywhere in this state if you're operating the vehicle. That's what gets us to operation. But I wasn't driving. I was passed out in the driver's seat outside a tonic with my engine running in my vehicle because it's cold and I did not want to freeze to death. Am I operating while intoxicated?
You are. And the crime is not driving while intoxicated. It is operating while intoxicated.
That seems un-American.
I agree. But unfortunately, I don't make the rules.
Nor do we interpret them.
Operating means actual physical control of a vehicle, which means in Iowa, engine on or your vehicle's moving.
So the actual physical control is an interesting one. I actually tried to make this argument unsuccessfully. I thought it was brilliant.
Okay.
That you are not in actual physical control of anything if you're sleeping.
I also think that.
Brilliant.
Yep.
True. Because Court of Appeals said no.
There are other states, though, that agree.
Yeah, I think there should be an exception or a lesser charge, but
Yes.
because you're not in public, you can be drunk in a vehicle. That's not public intox.
No.
But if you're in the driver's seat,
Yes.
you are in control of the vehicle if the engine is on or if it's in motion.
Yep.
So if I'm pushing you, if you're in the driver's seat, you
My
run out of
battery's
gas.
dead.
Yes.
Yes.
And I'm doing the old push down the road to get to the gas station, but you're drunk and you're steering.
I am operating while intoxicated because I am in actual physical control of a motor vehicle.
That's in motion.
Yep.
That's bull.
It is.
That's bull. Okay. So snoozing, driver's seat, vehicle on, that is OWI.
I read
Technically.
a Reddit post this morning that's not the do's and don'ts.
That's
of donut,
dangerous.
But it was a guy that he popped a tire, essentially. Girlfriend drunk in the passenger seat, falling asleep. Cops come up. He's changing the tire. Car's on. While he's outside changing the tire, girlfriend got popped for an OWI because she's the only one in the car with the engine running.
That wouldn't fly in Iowa.
No.
That's
But
not actual
that
physical
is,
control.
like, do not be, like, it's not something to be naive about.
Don't be shocked.
No.
I mean,
Yeah.
and we see this. There are counties, in particular, Story County, Iowa State University. They love to pop kids who are sleeping in a parking lot
Yeah.
after a party with the vehicle on.
I have one in Dallas County right now.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Like,
Vehicle wasn't on.
okay, you win.
I know. Eventually.
Eventually.
But, like, we
But the
still
person-
have to go through this process,
But they get
right?
charged, and you still
Yep.
got to deal with it.
Yeah.
So get in the back seat. I actually had a dude who did that. He was there was a Jeep. He was literally parked. He got in the back seat.
Well,
They charged him, but we were able to
did
win.
you able... Interesting.
We won.
Was the vehicle on?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
But he was not in the driver's seat.
Yeah.
That's a helpful fact.
Yeah.
Okay. This is one I'm excited for. Investigative tricky traps.
Let's start with license, registration, and insurance, and with a caveat that this isn't us saying when they ask you for your license, registration, and insurance to not do it.
Oh, yeah, you do have to produce it.
Absolutely. Like, that is one thing you do have to do is one thing that you have to
Comply with.
comply with. Yeah. License, registration, and insurance is one of the first things they're going to ask you when they get to your...
Because you can't drive a vehicle without all three of those.
Yes. But this is the tricky trap, which is... That is a pretty big part of the OWI investigation. They come up and they ask for license, registration, and insurance. And what they're looking for is, one, whether you can remember license, registration, and insurance. If you're able to use your fine motor skills, which would be your fingers, to pull things out of your wallet and potentially move things around, how quickly you're able to do it. They'll test you by asking you strange questions while you're trying to find your registration and insurance. And all of these are like, it can be some pretty damning evidence in an operating while intoxicated case if you can't find your license, registration, and insurance.
The minute they're asking for that in an
Yes.
OWI investigation, they are testing you. And what they're doing is it's a concept called divided attention.
Yep.
And the theory is with alcohol investigations, if you've had too much to drink, you can't process multiple instructions while having to do a physical task. You can't
Yes.
divide your attention between what you're supposed to do. So they intentionally ask for all three things at the same time, license, registration, and insurance, to test to see if you can remember it. And then as you're retrieving it, they'll be asking you questions like, where are you coming
So
from?
where are you coming from tonight?
Yeah, where are you heading?
You got anything in this car?
Yeah, uh-huh.
You had anything to drink tonight?
Right. Yeah. And what they're trying to do is throw you in a loop where you're trying to listen to the question, respond while still attempting to retrieve it. And then you'll see people just sit there like,
What was I doing?
what'd you need?
It's like when you walk into a room and you forget what you went into the room. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
but worse.
Yeah.
And then you will see people literally, instead of handing their driver's license,
Whole wallet.
whole wallet, debit cards.
Yeah.
Is the credit card is my favorite. Not favorite. It sucks if
Yeah.
I'm trying to defend that. And they'll blame if you don't have your registration in hand. If you can't find your insurance, they'll say, well, he had a difficult time locating that. He was too slow to locate it.
Yep.
So pro tip, not even waiting for the pointers. Put your license, registration, and insurance in your visor right above you. Have it ready. Have it updated. Make sure you have your current insurance card.
And that's something that I'm seeing a lot of right now, is not having your insurance printed out. I just got new car insurance. We had a whole talk about it at lunch today, but
Congratulations,
thank
by the
you. It's $500 cheaper.
Well
Love
done.
that. But I printed it out immediately because it's it delays the process when you're like, oh, I just have it on my phone.
Well, and then you're stressed and you're trying to thumb
Yes.
through your phone, remember where it's saved at, and they're going to say you're fumbling, you're bumbling, you're not getting it right. You must be drunk. Miss Ross, I need you to step out of the vehicle right now.
Okay.
Right. And now you know where it's going.
Yeah. And now
But
you're going into the OWI investigation.
most people don't know the reason they're asking for it that way is they are testing you.
And do they even like run anything when they get back there?
Yeah.
Sometimes.
They will.
Yeah.
Sometimes, or what they do, they take it all, they sit down, and they act like they're going to be running it
Yeah.
as they're waiting for backup.
Yep.
Because most departments require 2 officers to be present for an OWI investigation
Yes.
just for safety reasons.
Or they're like looking you up on Iowa courts online.
Well, they will do that. They're going to look to see if you got priors. They're going to look to see if you're valid, if there's no contact orders, should the girlfriend warrants any other reason to pull you over.
Yep.
So that is a very benign tricky trap.
It is. I didn't know that was it. I mean, there's a lot of tricky traps that I didn't know until I worked here, but that is one that you just think they're just doing that
Yep.
For innocent purposes. But that is the beginning of, not the beginning, a vehicle in motion. You could,
How you pull over, right?
But like truly, that's one of the beginning points of an OWI investigation. And if you're not able to produce those, you're getting out of the car.
Yep. And then it goes downhill from there.
Yep.
Which leads us to my favorite response of all time. Liz, can we leave this one at home and never say this ever?
I'm just trying to get home. Why are you trying?
It shouldn't be a try. You've been
Do you
driving.
get home every other day of the week? And why is today so hard?
It's 2:00 in the morning and we're trying. We're giving it the college try to get home.
The good, great effort.
No points for great effort.
No.
Don't say that. You can say, I'm heading home.
The other one is, can you just let me go walk home?
I live right there. I
Yep.
live right there. Literally live
That's
right
my
there.
house right there. Can I just walk there?
What does that tell a law enforcement officer?
That you are acknowledging that you are not okay to drive, and you are asking if you can just pretend this didn't happen and walk the rest of the way.
Yep. The obviously looking for honesty.
Yeah.
And honesty has never helped anybody.
It really doesn't, which it's like counterintuitive, especially like in the situation. You are at a extreme disparity of power, obviously.
Yep.
It's nerve-wracking. They'll tell you, I'm just looking for honesty. Sure. They're going to use that honesty against you
Yep.
as
They're going to be super
to the
nice
full
about
extent
it.
of the law, for sure.
Because they know psychologically we are programmed
Yeah.
to be honest with authority. And we think somehow
Stanford prison.
that's going to help
Yeah.
us, right?
Yeah.
And then the other question, I love this one. On a scale of 1 to 10, Miss Ross, with 1 being slightly buzzed and 10 being the drunkest you've ever been, where do you feel you're at right now?
I'm at about a 4.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. You're done. Slightly buzzed can still be drunk driving. The only good answer to that is 0.
Yes.
0. That's a tricky trip.
It is a tricky trap, and people want to answer it, and they will still give the 3, 4.
Yeah, I mean, I've a couple. I'm feeling it, but I'm not too bad.
And under the influence.
Ooh, the backseat banana in the tailpipe.
You are on video.
And audio.
They
have a camera that literally is right up in the middle of the back seat facing the seat. There's also one in the front seat facing the passenger seat. So when you're sitting there, you are on video, you are on audio, even when there's nobody around.
They're still investigating. They put you, cuff you, stuff you. Sometimes they don't even cuff and stuff you. Sometimes
they want you to feel good.
Outside, it's snowing outside, and they're so kind, and they're like, you two.
Just have a nice
You guys
seat.
just want to sit in the car while we finish this investigation. And you and your friend are like, yeah, let's go back there. And then you're like, oh, fuck. This just, I'm fucked up. You'll see that again.
You'll see that again, and you'll see it especially with drug cases too.
Yeah.
They'll put them in there. Oh, don't find that.
Yep.
Oh, didn't find anything.
Or they don't cuff you and you call.
Yep.
You call if you're not actually arrested for OWI, and then you're like, I'm about to get arrested for OWI. That's probably an admission.
And they can pull those videos up within their vehicle.
Yes.
So they can say, let you out or let you go. Watch it, and if something comes up that they didn't catch in that, they can stop you again if it's something new.
And now they have reason to believe that probable cause to believe that you're
toast.
Well intoxicated. Yeah.
So people always want to record officers when they're around officers.
Yep.
Without really appreciating this day and age, anytime you are in the presence of a police officer or a squad car or at a police station, I promise you are being audio and or video recorded.
And at this point, at least most police departments we're working with we pretty much have every angle of every scene.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because there's body cameras everywhere now.
All of them have body cams for the most part. The dash cam footage. Sometimes there's the back of a car. You're on camera, and
don't fall for that.
Don't.
Ooh, next one.
Bombing the attitude test?
Yeah. So one of the elements of under the influence, one way they can prove somebody's drunk or impaired is their emotions are visibly excited.
And when you think about that, you think crying. We have a wide range of emotions as humans.
We do.
And crying
can
be indicative of intoxication, certainly. Mm-hmm. So can anger.
100%.
And so can being an absolute asshole.
Yep.
And what else?
Well, we have names for them. We have the self-important.
Yeah. Do you know who I am?
Yeah. That is a cringe one. If I have to watch that, that's a problem.
I agree.
That never goes over well. No officer in this world goes, oh, shoot, my bad. They double down. And when prosecutors get that, they double down. And when judges see that, they double down.
Yes.
The days of who you are helping you, the last thing you want to do is volunteer the information. There may be situations where law enforcement figures it out and be like, oh, okay, I'm going to pull a professional courtesy here on their own.
Yes.
But if the person leads with that, that's all but guaranteeing a trip to the pokey.
Yeah, it's not a good look.
It's a terrible look. That's the other thing is you got to remember if it gets to a trial or if it gets to a hearing, a judge is going to hear this, a jury's going to see that.
Yeah.
And they don't, you got 12 people from the community judging you. The last thing you want to do is come out as if you're more important than them.
And operating while intoxicated is really a very unique crime in the fact that all classes, all types of people, professionals, lawyers, judges, doctors. It's something that people do make mistakes with it. It can't gauge themselves.
Right.
But it is a crime that a lot of people commit. So even do you know who I am doesn't really carry any sort of weight.
Humility goes a lot further.
It does. Yeah.
Yep. The other favorite one is the deflector.
Yes, there's real criminals out there. This is another public service announcement.
Yes.
Operating while intoxicated is a crime.
It is.
And it's It's a dangerous one.
Yes. And if you're in law, so perspective matters. If you are in law enforcement, part of your unfortunate part of your job is to respond to deadly accidents.
Yes.
And unless you've had to experience or even see a death accident, you cannot begin to appreciate the horrors that stay with the people who have to experience that.
Yeah, firsthand.
And there are, believe it or not, many that are caused by alcohol impairment.
Yes, a lot.
So to tell a officer who has had to respond to those accidents in their career and know that they're caused by alcohol, that it's not a big deal, that there's other real criminals to catch, is a slap in their face.
It is.
You have sealed your night the minute that you do that.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
No.
Just leave that one be.
And be thankful that you didn't do that.
You're not in that
night.
situation.
Yeah, you're
Right.
not in the situation where you're being investigated for an OWI and you walk up to a different car and there's a dead body in it.
Again, humility goes a very long
Yeah.
way. The less you say, the calmer you are, the more collective and polite and respectful you are, the better we can do with your case.
Absolutely.
Because when you lose the asshole contest,
Yeah.
prosecutors watch it, judges watch it, the officer experienced it and tells them about it, you are sealing your fate.
Even if there's potentially some flaw in their investigation, which is what we do, like we're
Right.
looking through their investigation. It's a technical, legal, it's a fascinating area of law, but you have a issue that is a good issue.
Right.
We think it's a good argument potentially. You have to sit there and say, okay, how do we actually show that this issue is relevant to this case? We have to show videos. So it's something that it really can hold back your case. If you're a mega asshole on video, you have an issue that might not win. You have to think about that.
And close ones go to the good people.
And close ones go to the good people, and close
Who
ones
treat
aren't going to
people with
go
respect.
to you if you were, no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The final. This is my
Yeah,
favorite.
you got to talk about this one.
The suburban soccer mom syndrome. This is a serious deal. This is my all-time
This
favorite.
is a serious syndrome, okay? If you or someone you loved has been injured by the suburban soccer mom syndrome, call us.
I'm not making fun of it. I'll save that for attempts at stand-up comedy that don't necessarily go well. But this is a real deal. This is what I would call, this is the situations where alcohol, wine, White
Opiates.
Claws are combined
Yeah.
with prescription medications.
Yep.
Whether they're opiates, whether they're anti-anxiety, whether they're antidepressant,
ADHD medicine,
ADHD medicines.
narcotics.
What happens inevitably, and it can be a couple of glasses of wine, and you may be perfectly normal every other time that you drink.
Yes.
But for whatever reason, there are times where these kick in, and it is the spawn of Satan that comes out of these little soccer moms out of nowhere that nobody expects, and then they grow horns and tails on camera and just let people have it
Yeah.
in ways that, I mean, they turn into, they're belligerent. And like if you saw them at the PTA meeting, they're not that. You see them at church, that's not the person at church. But for whatever reason,
Resisting arrest,
resisting.
assault on peace officers.
So,
yeah.
the UFC has outlawed foot stomps, right? Okay, that's where they stomp on the barefoot of the person.
Oh, okay.
I've seen stilettos foot stomps on officers with this syndrome. That the nicest, and it's not them,
Yeah.
but a different beast comes out. And so prescription medications, especially anti-anxiety, antidepressant, and opiates,
Yes.
and alcohol of any type do not go together.
Antibiotics too. That's not a narcotic, but some people have really bad antibiotic reactions, and that they do tell you not to drink on them. So don't do that.
Please.
But yeah,
Please. But
it's like a whole different level of fucked up than they were ever in.
it was a Jekyll and Hyde.
Yeah.
And then you want to watch the video? No.
It's always good when people say it. They're like,
Yep.
no. I don't
So let's not combine them.
No.
There are things that you can combine, but for the most part, if you're on antidepressants, anti-anxiety, opiates, anything like that,
Just don't drive after drinking.
just don't mix it with alcohol.
Yeah.
That's a bad idea.
Yeah. And speaking of prescription drugs,
Perfect. Yes.
the drug booby trap. This is something I blew my mind for probably the first year of working here.
It can be true, right?
What?
When you learned about the drug booby trap, you did not think this could be true.
No, I didn't, because I want to think that, I don't know. It's a hard concept to grasp because people are on prescription medicines and they're on prescription medications for good reasons, and these are part of everyday life. They can be dangerous in the context of OWI.
They can also get you hemmed up by officers who don't know any better.
Yes.
And I think that's probably the biggest trap. If you're using your prescription medication as you're supposed to,
Yes.
you're not impaired by it.
No.
And what prescription medication is used for is to get you to as close as normal
Yes.
as you otherwise would be without it.
Yes.
But there is a breed of officer out there who, for whatever reason, has bought into this rhetoric that you can't drive a vehicle on prescription medications or after having a beer with prescription medications. Now, we did the word of caution with the mixing it, but that doesn't mean that's what the law says. Unless you're impaired or affected by it, you're fine.
Yeah.
But you can get an OWI on prescription medications just as easy as you can on alcohol.
You can't. And also, note, there's something called the search incident to arrest. You get arrested for OWI. You have prescription medications, prescription narcotics potentially. Well, one, maybe don't drive around with them.
True.
Certainly don't drive around with them if you're not taking them as prescribed. How do you know if you're taking them as prescribed? They can open up the bottle. When was it filled? How many are in there?
It's math.
Math. Simple math. Yeah. It can.
First grade.
Yes. And that prescription drugs is one that I don't think most people recognize are drugs.
Well, they're not controlled substances. So remember, every controlled substance is a drug, but not every drug is a controlled substance. Blowing your mind there?
Prescription drugs, some of the prescription drugs are controlled substances.
Some of them are.
Yeah, like the opiates,
Yes.
ADHD medicines are controlled substances.
ADHD medicine is
Yeah.
not. We're going to fight this out. So, going to do some research. It depends on the type. But so, for OWI, controlled substance, in Iowa, a controlled substance is for OWI purposes, is any Schedule 1 or Schedule 2
Yes.
drug. Those tend to be, well, obviously your illicit street drugs.
Yep.
Marijuana.
Including marijuana.
THC is still a controlled substance in Iowa and in the United States of America. Okay. Opiates, the high-level opiates are Schedule 2 because there is a therapeutic value to it. But they are highly dangerous, and obviously nobody should be driving on Oxycontin.
Yeah.
Those types of things. And in Iowa, a controlled substance in a urine test includes what?
Any amount
Of?
a controlled substance.
Which also includes, starts with an M.
Marijuana.
Metabolites. I didn't tell you you're going to get quizzed. So what many people don't appreciate is the fact that you could have smoked weed or had an edible
Yes.
a week before.
Yes.
And if somehow, some way, they have reason to ask for your urine, and there is any amount of even a metabolite, which is the leftover, that's what your body's getting rid of. It's not active. It's not impairing you. It doesn't have to. If there is a metabolite in your system, that is OWI.
Do you want to say that again?
Yes. A metabolite of used drugs that are no longer impairing you in Iowa is, as a matter of law, if it's a controlled substance, OWI. Got it?
That means some big things for the OWI investigation too. Some big no-nos.
Right. So hit one.
Don't tell officers that you smoked earlier in the day.
Please.
Like, I'm not high right now, but I smoked this morning. I'm fine.
Or yesterday, or the week
Or last
before.
week, or I went to Colorado a week and a half ago.
When skiing.
You don't want to find that officer that's like...
There's a few
Yeah.
that look for this
Yeah.
and love it because they're like, oh, well, now I have reason to believe there may be any amount in your system, so I'm going to have you pee in this cup.
Yeah.
Because I need that statistic. I'm a drug recognition expert.
Yep. And you can get convicted on it.
You can. And the same thing goes with, they will always ask, are you taking any prescription drugs? Whose business is that? If
Certainly not the officers.
if Joe walked up to you in a bar, Sydney, and was striking up a conversation and asked you,
So what prescription medications have you taken
what
today?
scripts you got? Huh? What are you taking?
Do we have any advice for what people should say?
Okay. I was getting ramped up there. I was going to give a different answer. Easiest one. That's my personal medical information, and you, sir, are never going to get that from me.
Yeah.
Or you can just say, I'm not answering that question.
Yeah. I'm not comfortable answering that question. Yeah.
Weirdo.
Yeah.
Throw it back at him.
I watched this TikTok
What?
yesterday, and it was like talking about family Thanksgivings and the weirdest thing to say to your weird family members. And it's, you look them up and down and go, that's such a strange question to ask me. Might fit in this situation.
It would fit because you're going to put them on the
weird
defensive.
Of you.
Yeah.
You freak.
Yeah. What?
I thought you pulled me over for my light being out.
Yeah.
Freak.
No, you can't look at my medicine cabinet. But you never have to. That's your personal medical. That is protected under
Yeah.
federal law, state law. You do not have to tell them that.
Yeah.
And I would be offended if they asked. That's a creepy question.
It is. And we've seen where a 50-year-old man's on like hypertension medication.
Blood pressure.
Home. Oh, you're under the influence of any amount of a controlled substance because he told me he was taking so-and-so that he's never heard of. He has no idea what that drug is. It just opens up a door of or misunderstanding what prescription you said. No.
Oh,
Don't tell him.
And Dope Yoda did want us to give a public service announcement on this. Don't smoke weed in your car.
Yeah, stop smoking weed in your car because it gives them probable cause to do a lot of things. And
Think about it. If you fart in your car,
yeah,
it smells.
Yes.
And it smells long after you farted.
and it's different context, but like marijuana stays on you.
It permeates the
It does.
fabric.
And if you're smoking in your car, it's going to stay on you way more than if you're smoking out in the air, even in a house, in an open room. Don't smoke weed in your car. It stays, it smells in your car, and they're going to smell it. These officers are quite Dope Yoda has a case where they're like going like this.
They're
in
wafting.
the driver's seat. Yeah, just trying to see if it smells like weed. They know what weed smells like.
The analogy he gave is if you're cooking dinner in your house
Yeah.
and you've eaten dinner, you've cleaned up, and somebody comes to your front door and opens and you open the door for them
And they're hungry.
and they're hungry, they can smell
Yes.
what you just cooked for dinner. They're hungry. These officers are hungry.
And you don't think it smells anymore, but that's because you've been smoking in it.
You're in that aroma. So don't do that.
No.
We can throw that PSA out there. Go for a walk.
Yeah.
It's not that hard. Edibles don't smell.
Edibles don't smell.
And don't drive after any of that.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, the smoking weed in the car, don't do it.
That's so 70s.
It's lame, okay?
Yeah. It's dumb. All right. This is the next one. Like we could do an entire episode on field sobriety tests.
We certainly could.
But we can also condense an entire episode into one advice when it comes to field sobriety tests, which is
No, officer, I don't want to do your roadside gymnastics.
boom. It's that simple. No, thank you.
But seriously, doing field sobriety tests severely will limit your lawyer in what they can argue. You can, officers can say you just smelled of alcohol, bloodshot, watery eyes. We have body cam footage. We have footage everywhere. A lot of times there's a difference between consumption of alcohol and intoxication by alcohol, or being in a bar potentially smelling like alcohol. But if you do field sobriety tests, doesn't matter if they do them right, doesn't matter if they do them wrong. It does take away a few of our arguments that we can make to try to get anything suppressed.
We can be very clear on this. Get the backwards hat.
Okay.
Make sure the seriousness is here. You do not have to do field sobriety tests in the state of Iowa at all.
Even if they say, okay, here's what we're going to do. I'm just going to
make sure you're okay to drive.
I'm just going to put you through a few tests, make sure you're okay to drive. And then if everything's good, you're going to be okay, like able to go. Sound good?
You will not pass. And even if you do, they're not going to say you passed.
No, absolutely not.
So every year I go and talk to a couple of different high schools.
Yep.
In their health class when they get to the alcohol section. Every year I have 16, 15, 17-year-old students, and I always pick the athletes out.
Yep.
I have them come up, and I put them through the walk and turn test and the one-leg stand test. Not a single one has passed the walk and turn test. Period. Sober, in school, on good ground, not having to go to jail if they failed. Not a single one has passed. And there's studies that support this.
There are.
Like there are literally studies that say this one, this is an old school study from 1994 from, I want to say Clemson. It was Clemson University. They had officers evaluate people's performance on the field sobriety tests via video.
Okay. So like what we do.
Like what we do.
Yep.
The officer, but these people were sober. They were stone cold sober doing the test.
Yep.
The officers rated 46% of those people as intoxicated. They failed 46% sober people on that. And then they went and most recently, there's a recent study in the Journal of Medical JAMA.
And this was was published in 2023.
This is a good one.
It is about marijuana.
Because they're trying to correlate. So what they'll do
Yes.
is if you suck a field sobriety test and you do the handheld breath test and you blow zeros, what are they going to say? Oh, you're fine. Go ahead and go home.
No.
No.
Well, maybe if you're lucky.
No, they won't.
No, they're going to say that is reason to believe that you are under the influence of a controlled substance, drug, or a combination of a controlled substance. And
What drug officer? I don't know.
Yeah,
But something.
Also, they don't know.
They don't know. They don't have a first freaking clue.
No.
And they tried to correlate field sobriety tests to THC or to marijuana use in
Yeah.
this study and bang this one out.
They had like 121 people actually received THC and 63 received a placebo. Officers classified 98.
Placebo means no marijuana.
Yeah.
Just making
98, which is an interesting thing for like THC, like not that I would know, but like if you would certainly know if you got the placebo.
You would think. It's a gummy bear.
98 out of 121 of the individuals that received THC, so that's 81%, they accurately said were impaired. But 31 out of 64 of the individuals that had the placebo, which is 49%,
Sober.
49.2%.
Sober people
failed.
So they claimed that sober people were high
Yep.
49% of the time.
And the craziest thing about this
Do tell.
is the modified Romberg test.
I love it. So this is the test where what they do is they say, okay, you're going to stand straight, hands to your side. You're going to tip your head back, and you're going to estimate 30 seconds.
In your brain.
In your brain without counting out loud because somehow they think that's a good indicator of somebody's high or not.
Highness.
And
That's what it says in here.
Highness?
I giggled out loud. Highness. Yeah, that's apparently the word for it. I don't know. They're doctors. I'll believe them.
So and they use this every
Yes.
drug ARIDE, advanced roadside impaired driving evaluation.
Yeah.
It's cops trying to be doctors
It's BS,
after
yeah.
a week of, well, not even a week, after a day of training. Drug recognition examiners who think they're doctors, that they're not doctors.
They're
Okay,
not doctors.
they didn't go to med school.
They did not.
But they use this test claiming that people are impaired
Yes.
by drugs, and drumroll,
The individuals who had higher highness than the placebo effect. So the individuals that were impaired by THC did better on the modified Romberg test than the sober people. They use these to arrest people.
Yeah. And the study shows that people that are high actually
Do better.
and estimate 30 seconds better than sober people.
Yeah, which is fascinating.
So if you can estimate 30 seconds accurately, that means that's what they're going to do now.
I mean,
that's what they're going to do.
Advice, but I would say if you're sober and doing it, just count a little bit slower than I would
No,
guess.
what they're going to say now is that if you can accurately estimate 30 seconds, you're high. Watch.
I know they will, but it's just
Don't do field sobriety tests. You don't have to do them. You're not going to do them on a good day. Listen, you're not going to walk and turn your way out of getting arrested.
no. And the horizontal gaze nystagmus, people love it.
Don't do it.
I know, but
It's garbage.
It is. And someone says you're a 6 out of 6 on the HGN. The
Prove
judge
them
is
wrong.
like, you're drunk.
There's
bad.
That's what. Can I just check your eyes? No, thank you. Are you actually? What I would do? Can I check your eyes? Are you an eye doctor? No. Schedule me an appointment. I'll go see my optometrist.
I'll get an appointment next week, officer. Thanks, though.
Thank you. Walk and turn. No. Do I look like
No, I don't want to
Sean
do
Johnson?
your roadside gymnastics. But truthfully, in what they're looking for, it's not what you would think that they're looking for. But it really is. They're putting you on the roadside. A lot of times there's cars passing by, there's lights. You're nervous, you're stressed. You don't really know what they're looking for. A lot of times they do the bare minimum of telling you what the instructions are. And it's standardized, so they all are supposed to say the same thing. But it's not intended for it to be something that
It's
you
Simon
actually are
Says.
going to pass.
Remember
if
that
you're
game,
sober.
Simon Says?
Yeah.
It's Simon Says. Simon didn't say, ooh.
We forgot the
What?
most important part of this. If for some strange reason you decide to do field sobriety test, when you get to the walk and turn and one leg stand, do not say, I couldn't do this if I was sober.
Fair. Okay. That happens.
Yeah,
I can't.
all the time.
No. You could say I can't do this on a good day.
Yeah.
You can say I can't do this in my kitchen.
No.
But
Don't say.
if you have to say I can't do
If I
this,
hadn't been drinking, I wouldn't be able to do this, officer.
if you have to say I can't do this on a good day,
Then just say no.
say no, thank you.
Yeah.
And you do the handheld breath test. That's an action point. Well, I'll save that. Shh.
Another thing, you can do one if you find yourself feeling pressure to do a test and you do one and then you're like, oh, Bobby and Donut told me I should not be doing this. You can say no.
To the rest.
You're not tied down to comply
Yeah.
in the investigation.
Just don't do them.
No.
If they want to do a drug recognition examination of you, don't do that either.
Yeah, because
That's poppycock.
what they're gonna do.
That's-
Like put you in a room, turn the lights off, some freaky deaky shit.
Cops are taking your blood pressure.
Yeah.
Come on.
How about now?
Yeah.
That's my private medical information, sir.
Okay. We're on track.
For the first time.
Wrong rights.
Yeah.
There's a lot of misconceptions out there. Reddit
There
doesn't
are.
help. OWI weekend program talk doesn't always help.
Oh, I'm sure that those are interesting combos.
First things first, if a law enforcement officer asks you to get out of the vehicle, do you have to get out of the vehicle?
Yes.
Please get out of the vehicle. This is a suburb soccer mom syndrome. This is what they do the first time. No, they don't get out of the vehicle. Whatever reason, they clam up, they freeze. I'm not going to do anything. I'm not getting out of the vehicle.
And that is how you pick up a second charge.
Yes, interference with official acts, and or they wrestle you out of the vehicle.
Yep.
And
You
then
can get bonked on your head and
And
you
if
won't be able to sue for it.
if the officer gets hurt wrestling you out,
Yep.
you get a bigger charge because he skinned his knee.
Debatable. I've been doing a little bit of research on interference with official acts these days, so
Okay, well, they're gonna have to pay extra for Donut to help them with that.
in her knowledge.
Her expertise. But if they ask one, license, registration, insurance, you do have to give that.
You do. And back up.
But do
You do need to pull over.
step one, lights on, pull over.
I wasn't speeding. Fuck it. I'm not going to pull
Right.
over. No, you need to pull over
Please.
immediately on the side of the road, 10 and 2 if you need to. But yeah, there's You don't need to answer questions. You do need to comply with small amounts of things.
Correct. License, registration, insurance, all required to drive. Okay. If they ask you out of the vehicle, you do have to get out of the vehicle.
Officers have what's called, they just have discretion to take control of the situation in a traffic stop, especially with the driver.
Yep.
But even if you're the passenger, even if you don't think that there's a reason for them to pull you out of the car, comply. That is the job for your criminal defense attorney to determine whether that was actually lawful.
And that's that's one thing that we have at the bottom, or that's our final thing that we're going to talk about. But yes, don't fight.
No.
You can verbally protest politely, respectfully, but don't fight.
No.
Don't fight. Get out. The other is when you're on the side of the road, do you have the right to an attorney?
You do not.
You do not. You can't demand an attorney come to the scene.
Nope.
The scenes are going to be secure. Law enforcement is going to lock down anytime they're dealing with somebody. They don't want people coming up. They don't want people interfering with the investigation for obvious reasons. That's a safety issue for them. Think about it. As an officer, you're out dealing with butt heads all day, every day. Last thing you want is somebody walking up behind you or walking in a way that you can't see.
Yeah.
Right now, no way. No way.
And also, you don't want your attorney at the scene.
No, that makes us a witness.
Yeah.
That's not
Let us witness it on camera.
Yeah.
That's what we're supposed
We'll
to
talk to you later, but not you don't want us to be a part of it.
And full disclosure, we're looking for them to mess these things up.
Shh. That's the plucking the L out of a W.
Okay. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. Don't ruin that.
Probably worth saying it a few times.
It is.
The other one we have is the 2-hour rule.
Oh, I can
a
wait.
good one.
I can wait 2 hours before I take the test. Show of hands. Who thinks or has thought that was an absolute right people had? I
have a few clients.
I think a lot of people have that. That is a common rumor out there. It's kind of like if you flash your lights at somebody without headlights, their gang is gonna come and kill you. Have you heard that urban legend? I flash everybody. Haven't gotten killed yet. I feel like it's my civic duty to remind people that their auto headlights aren't on.
Yeah.
I have yet to be murdered, thankfully.
Yeah, probably not.
2-hour rule, same thing. You do not have an absolute right to 2 hours. Help us understand that.
So there's certain rights that you have once you get back to the station, and it essentially the 2-hour rule is the outward.
Yep.
And really, you're probably doing more damage to your case if you're demanding 2 hours.
That's not helpful.
No, it's not helpful to us.
So the way it works is when you get to the station, you do have the right to call an attorney, talk to an attorney or a family member. Law enforcement is required to give you a reasonable opportunity to make those communications.
A reasonable opportunity does not mean that you get to
Absolutely.
lollygag.
You can't sit there and say, I'm going to take 2 hours. I'm going to sit here. I'm not going to do anything. And at the end of the 2 hours, I'll make a decision on your test. No. That doesn't help you when you say that, because that means you think you're higher than you are, higher alcohol concentration than you are. But B, if you're making a reasonable attempt to get a hold of an attorney or family member and you're having those conversations, then they do have to give you up to close to the 2-hour period from the time they ask for the test or from the time you're driving to the time that they make you make a decision. But it comes down to, what are you doing in that meantime? You can't just sit there, suck your thumb, and say, I'm waiting. Yeah. If you're actively trying to get advice, trying to get help, trying to talk to people, then they can't unreasonably interfere with that. Yep. So be active, be busy, do things, talk to people. Have your family member come down and talk to you at the station. And make those requests.
Ask for your cell phone. Try to call attorneys. There are 24-hour lines. There are people out there that can talk to you.
We need to update our call numbers too, by the way.
I'm about ready to start taking them too. I'm getting antsy.
Okay, you're about to get them. Here we go.
Just sometimes.
We'll get you prepped. Sometimes it's fun. Sometimes it's really obnoxious.
But you just try.
Yeah.
Try. There's really no harm in sitting there and trying. And if you are calling an OWI attorney in the middle of the night, they're not going to be mad at you. Even if they don't answer, it's not like it's going to be like, this is what we do.
If they're mad, that's their own fault.
Yeah.
I mean,
but just try to find someone to talk to. Call your family member. If you need someone to go lay your dog out, certainly.
Anything but ordering pizza.
Yeah. That's the one thing the Supreme Court has said you can't do is call to order pizza.
The other thing you could ask about is FaceTime. I would do that. That
private consultation?
Yeah, FaceTime. Stay tuned for that. Okay, the final thing that we have as far as ways that good people end up going crosswise with an OWI is we've labeled plucking an L out of a W. What are we talking about?
Well, I think we got to start with the first one that I've already brought up, demanding rights violated until they give them.
Yes. So when people are asking for calls, when we say, hey, ask for a family member to come down and meet with you, or ask if you can have privacy with your attorney to talk.
Yep.
We're helping people invoke rights.
Yes.
Believe it or not, in the context of criminal law, your case gets better when your rights are violated.
Yes.
It's a strange thing, but when you make a request and they violate that request and that right, that allows us to argue that certain evidence should be excluded. Mm-hmm. If you get insistent and demand and you say, no, I watched GRL Raw and I know this is my right, and the officers jump on and watch it and go, shit.
Or they're like, oh.
Let me read this code section real
You're
quick.
You're right. Maybe I do need to do that for you. Guess what?
Then they let you have your phone call. Your right is now not violated.
Yeah.
And then you take a test. The test is going to be admissible because the right wasn't violated.
Yep.
I had one I about crapped myself where the dude, thankfully it was in a town that apparently hadn't read the Iowa code ever. It was the right to phone calls, 80420, we call it.
It just hadn't hit mainstream over there.
Hadn't hit mainstream. It was like
it's only been like since 1961.
I want to say it was a dare. Okay. And
valid.
Literally the guy goes, don't I have an 804.20 right to have my family member come down here? Literally. After it had been denied twice. And the officer goes, no. Like the dude, not a lawyer, not law trained. I think he had
804.20.
He might have had the old crap at back in the day. He cites the code. And I'm like, oh no. Watching the video because I was like, of course the cop's going to let him now. Nope. Thankfully, no. We won.
Yeah.
Right? But there are times where people get adamant and argue. Lawyers do the same thing. They screw their clients.
I was going to say, like, this, mostly it's got to be lawyers.
Yeah.
Because
it's my right. It's my client's right.
Go back a few. Don't tell them you're a lawyer, idiot.
Rule 1, they teach you this the first day of law school, and not all law students catch this. Never tell them you're in law school.
Yeah.
That's the easiest, fastest way to go to jail.
Yeah.
I can attest.
I can't. So, but yeah, it's counterintuitive, especially to lawyers. I think that's probably where people get in trouble. But
it's just like,
you're really taking away the argument. You know that if your rights are violated, if your 804.20 rights are violated, there's going to be a grounds for suppression of whatever happens after that violation.
Suppression means exclusion of evidence.
And what happens after
is usually
when you're wanting to make phone calls is usually the most damning evidence.
Yep.
So if they say no, you're not going to have a phone call. Okay. Take the L, sit in jail for the night, call us.
Get the dub.
We will get the dub on the suppression and then we'll be happy.
Because you getting that phone call is not going to change the outcome of that test.
No.
Or refusal.
It's not.
And so
the important part is just that you ask.
If they screw up, let them screw up.
Yeah. You invoke it. If they don't give it to you, just sit the night in jail and know that
justice will have the final say.
Yes.
Yeah. The final plucking the L out of the dub is my all-time favorite because this actually came from an actual case. I would not have believed it had I not watched and saw this video. Okay? If law enforcement gives you the option on a cold, snowy night where they have 80,000 things better to do than worry about you, they got wrecks, they got, people freezing to death, and they say, I'm going to impound your car and call you a cab. You can go home. Or you can blow into this little handheld device And if you're over, you're going to jail. Rational, sober Sydney sitting here would say what?
Impound. Certainly.
Bye.
Yeah.
I'm taking the ride.
Mm-hmm.
This person did not want the vehicle to get impounded, was not about to leave the vehicle and impound and have to pay for that, and was not about to trust law enforcement to let her go.
And they hired you?
Yeah. They picked the wrong side of that coin, and it went downhill.
OWIs are expensive. The fines, expensive.
Way more than impound.
22, $500 a month. It's really expensive.
It used to be, they'd say OWI is going to cost you 10 grand.
Yeah.
That was 20 years ago, 10 years ago. It's going to cost you 20 grand, all things wrapped up together. If you hire a competent attorney, if you have to go through all these different things, let them impound your car.
Yeah.
Pay for the Uber, whatever it is, you come out ahead.
Yeah. And Ubers can be expensive, even on surcharges.
Mm-hmm.
OWIs,
way more.
That puts a dent in your year.
So and again, alcohol does affect the judgment.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Proof in the pudding right there on that case.
Mm-hmm.
Bad.
Yeah.
Bad day. Take the dub. When you get a dub, take the dub.
Yeah.
Pocket the dub, and then worry about it later.
I know people that have gotten this and they're like, I'll let you go. Just blow, because we're training this girl.
Do it.
Yeah. It makes me a little nervous, but like, you're on camera and not give it a shot.
Yeah. Okay. Action points. Wrapping this up, action points. Action point number 1.
Vehicle check.
Do it.
Make sure your lights are working.
Turn your car on.
Get a car wash.
Car wash is sponsored by Mr. Car Wash. Get a car wash. Walk around your vehicle every now and then.
Yeah.
Have somebody follow you. Make sure your brakes are working. Make sure your lights are working. Make sure everything's where it's supposed to be.
Keep good company. Make sure like your friends see you leaving a parking lot. I've had people call me, your lights out. Like, that's good.
I've done that.
Those are things that sometimes you wouldn't recognize in your own vehicle.
Yep.
Brake lights, but they need to be
I'm
working.
that dork that would be like, you have a license plate cover, right?
Yeah.
You should.
Yep.
In that frame, your registration's expired.
I like to tell people that like my favorite part about doing criminal defense is I get to like call people out like I'm a cop.
Yeah.
Like, it's a lot more fun because I won't arrest you.
We
I'm
should.
like, you're doing something illegal.
We should stick cards in. We should go around and do like maybe we'll do that for the holidays.
Oh, that's fun. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Car checks?
Car checks.
Yeah.
Free car checks.
Tell people when they're...
Santa cars. That wasn't even a good one. Okay.
That's a good idea.
Thank you. All rights reserved. GRL Raw.
Don't do it.
Turn vehicle off if you're going to take a siesta.
Yeah.
If Uber's going to be 30 minutes and you need to take a nap before they get here, turn your car off and or get in the back seat.
Yep.
Okay. Fields?
Politely decline.
How do you do that?
No, officer, I don't want to do your roadside gymnastics.
Or we will, I'm throwing this out there, we will represent this person for free, assuming it is an OWI first offense and you didn't pick up any, suburban soccer mom syndrome extra charges. Mm-hmm. If the person does this, no, officer, studies show that law enforcement will actually fail sober people on these tests anywhere from 46 to 49% of the time. So I am going to politely pass.
Yes.
You throw that out there. It's on video.
Call us.
On the house. On the house. We will do that as long as you let us use that for promotional purposes. We'll work on that. Searching vehicles.
Oh, gosh. No.
Nah.
No.
You do not have to provide consent for law enforcement to search your vehicle, to look at your phone, to look through your purse, to look through your bag, to go into your house, to do anything. Just say no. If they're going to do it, again, don't give up the W for an L.
And that's like, you think, a lot of people think, it smells like weed in my car. He says it smells like weed, or he said he saw this, and so now he's going to ask for consent to search. So like, fine, I'm just going to get out.
Right.
No, just say no.
No.
And they're going to tell you to get out of the car, and they're going to search the car if they have what they believe to be grounds to search.
Bank the
But
dub.
You saying yes, giving them consent, bye.
Takes the L.
Yeah.
Take the L.
Anything they find, it's
L.
going to be admissible. Yeah.
The one that's not on here, people always ask, what do I do if I get pulled over for OWI? And I've been drinking. You're never going to do field sobriety tests because we've gone through that.
Yep.
You politely decline to do field sobriety tests. For the 8th millionth time in my life, what I will tell people is you can agree and suggest, I will do the handheld breath test if you agree to show me the result. Because they're not required to show the result. You want to know the result. You want to see the result.
Yep.
That helps you decide what you're going to do going forward.
It does.
I'm not doing field sobriety tests because they're wrong 46 to 49% of the time.
Yep.
But I will agree to do the handheld breath test if you agree to show me the result. That result cannot be used against you in the court of law.
Today
by the
Iowa Supreme Court.
I thought they were going to turn that upside down. So
That would be on par.
that's the only dub this year for a criminal defendant.
Is that, well, they still said it was harmless error, but.
Well, fine, but at least keep the principle
At
right.
least.
So they can't use the result of a preliminary breath test against you currently.
Because they're unreliable. Like, it's like a,
Yeah.
what's it called? Lie detector test.
Yeah.
But, like, the handheld one is.
It'll give you a decent idea, though. You want that information, but it's not forensically acceptable in court. at
Another
this
pro
time.
tip, I have a PBT in my car.
Do you? I do, too. A BAC tracker?
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
And I get it, send it in and get it recalibrated.
Oh.
Like a responsible adult.
You should have. I'll tell you to get better insurance. You tell me to send in my
Okay. Every 6 months.
every 6 months to get it calibrated. Fair.
Yep.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt.
No.
Like, am I close? Let's find out.
Yeah.
It's on your phone.
And a lot of times mine is like 0.02. I'm just like a little bit nervous due to the line of work. that
Can't
I
hurt.
do. Yeah.
Yeah, they like finding us in the driver's seat. Action point. Questions. You want to answer questions? You mind if we just go through this questionnaire real quick? I just need a little bit of information for it from you.
No, thank you.
Lawyer.
Where are you going? Home? Where you been?
None. Yo business.
Yeah. You don't have to answer those questions. You don't have to give them the detailed story.
Yep.
Just
Shh. And then action point, ask to lawyer up.
ask for a phone call.
Yeah.
Ask once you get to the station, ask for a phone call. Don't make the decision right away. Just sit a minute, try to get a hold of someone.
Careful what you say on the phone.
Careful what you say on the phone.
Yep. Because that is being
Certainly
recorded.
don't tell everything
drunk.
that you had to drink.
No.
And if you call a lawyer, they won't ask you questions that elicit those answers.
They shouldn't.
But yeah, hopefully, unless you call like your rural county local family attorney. But
Be surprised.
yeah, I know.
No hate.
And if you do the breath test at the station and it doesn't seem right, ask to do a retest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no harm in it.
No, there's actually.
The good case law, if they don't tell you that you have a right to an independent test, then their test goes bye-bye. Mm-hmm. So ask to take it again.
Yeah.
And if you take it again, fine.
Yeah.
No, it's not going to be any worse.
No.
Okay.
Let's do some notes down at first.
Before the answer to the trivia question. Okay.
Right.
How are we on time? We good on time? I think we're good on time. Decent on time. Let's move this along. Do's and don'ts with Doganut.
DUI themed, OWI themed. Okay. Title: is this a valid strategy to avoid a DUI?
No.
Okay. Side note, footnote 1. There's usually not a great strategy to avoiding it.
There is. Hold on. There is a fail-safe strategy.
Don't drink and
PSA.
drive.
Don't drive drunk.
Yeah.
You can have a drink.
But if you're driving drunk,
There is no
there's
fail-safe.
no.
True.
You trying to create a defense makes it so much worse.
Yes.
So I was reading a Reddit comment and it said the following. You can reduce a DUI to a public intox by turning off the car, throwing the keys out the window, and then drinking a beer in front of the officer before breathalyzed. He won't be able to prove intoxication before that moment.
I've heard this before.
I have too. I've also heard about like putting dirt in your mouth.
pennies, Jack Daniels.
Yep.
Okay. Operation. If you're getting pulled over, you are in. Well, hold on. Do's and don'ts. This is your second. I'm not answering this.
Okay, so operation. If you were pulled over on the side of the road as a result of an officer activating their emergency lights behind you, you were likely just driving down the road.
Check.
And as we've said before, cameras are actually very beneficial to us now, for sure. But in this case, not going to be beneficial.
And let's be honest. It can be established through the eyewitness testimony of the officer that you were driving the damn vehicle.
Also, I don't even think they need eyewitness. There's case law about your car is on the middle of a road and you're in it. And how did it get there?
Fair.
And there's one empty beer can in the car and you blew a .2, okay?
Loser.
Throwing your keys out the window. I don't know why anyone would tell you how to do that.
That's the dumbest idea ever.
It really is. And hopefully you can find them and they don't get run over.
Yeah, you need those.
Yeah, it's expensive.
Do you know how expensive a key fob is?
I do.
It's like $500.
Yeah.
Drake lost his.
Certainly.
Son.
Don't throw it out the window because you're not doing anything.
That's dumb.
Drinking a beer in front of the officer, while probably kind of funny, and I would give you slight kudos, I would say if you're at that point, your BAC is going to be higher than that. And so one of these guys likely puts you up 0.02. So when you blow a 0.2, they're going to say there was probably 47 of those before this. But really the do's and don'ts of this one is if you do get pulled over and you're drunk or you're under the influence or high, the answer is try to protect yourself, protect your rights. Don't come up with some like crazy defense for yourself because you're probably intoxicated and your judgment's probably impaired.
So let's make a very important distinction. If you're answering the door to your house drinking the beer,
yes,
after they find your car in a ditch because you swerved to miss a deer,
yeah,
that's one thing.
it is.
It's one thing.
Because you're no longer in your car.
You're at home, you can have a beer.
Yep.
There's nothing wrong with it. If you are, there's a couple problems with this.
I know where you're going.
Yeah.
I didn't even
Don't
think
ruin
about
it.
that.
I didn't either until right now. If you are in your vehicle and you get stopped by law enforcement and they haven't even asked you if you've been drinking and you're jumping out of the car to chug a beer.
PC, probable cause.
Why else would you be drinking a beer in the middle of the road? Also, if you have an open container in a motor vehicle on the highway in Iowa, that is an additional charge. If you consume an open container of alcohol in public in Iowa, that is also an additional charge. And then you're voluntarily in public in an intoxicated condition, arguably, that is an additional charge. So the Reddit advice is absolutely bullshit.
It is.
And no. And say your case goes to trial. How are you explaining to a jury why you decided to hop out of a car and chug a beer? Cricket. Cricket soundtrack right there.
Your judgment's impaired, certainly.
The only reason you're doing that is because you knew.
And you think that you found this loophole. And leave it to us to find the loophole.
It's not a loophole.
No, it's not for people in the driver's seat to try to navigate the loopholes. I think, say this all the time. If I were in that situation, accidentally, I'm careful about it. But if I were in that situation, I would have a hard time trying to navigate a situation.
It's scary. Even as a lawyer.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know that I would be able to say the right things to invoke my rights the right way and not demand rights.
There is something about literally being under the gun and the microscope that happens when you get pulled over by law enforcement. You can be completely knowledgeable about your rights.
Yeah.
You can be an attorney. You can know all these things. At the time it comes to execute and to actually do these things, it is exceedingly difficult.
Yep.
So do not listen to Reddit for law.
No. Don't
advice.
take legal advice from Reddit.
And don't do any of that.
And don't drink in your car.
Correct.
Certainly don't throw your keys out of your car. That's just a waste. And what if you hit an officer with the keys?
Ooh.
The officer's walking
New
around,
charge.
Assault on a peace officer. Bye.
Do call Uber
Yeah.
or Lyft or somebody to come drive you home. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of people that have asked me
There's
that.
a lot
I've
of
been asked that.
conspiracies about OWIs and what you can do, which is one of the topics that when we were coming up with this, that's one of the things. Like, they do not have to see you driving the vehicle. If you can self-snitch your way into an OWI.
Circumstantial evidence
certainly.
works just the same.
Yep.
All right. We got to bring the answer to our trivia question
Yep.
full circle. We've had fun this whole time. This is a fun topic to talk about. We could talk about this literally for 20 hours if we had to. The question is, what is the minimum punishment a judge can give somebody if they are convicted of driving impaired or driving drunk and causing the death of another person? Per person.
25 years.
Say it again. And look at the,
25-year minimum.
In prison.
Prison.
You
have to go to prison.
You have to go to prison. There is no probation. There is no reconsideration. There is no way around it. The minimum punishment, if you're driving intoxicated and you kill somebody in the state of Iowa, is 25 years in prison. You can be 18 and no record, never been in trouble before.
And we'll see you in your 40s.
25 years. On top of that, you have to pay the victim's family a minimum
$150,000. You make like 14 cents an hour in prison.
Making license plates.
Yep.
That is the single worst conversation to have with anybody, is when they're sitting there in our conference room, parents, 19, 20-year-old kids, even grown-ups with their own kids, their own family, and they're in this situation where they're accused of driving drunk and killing somebody, and you have to tell them, if you're convicted of this offense, the judge has no choice but to send you to prison for 25 friggin' years. Mm-hmm. Most people haven't been driving for 25 years.
No, I've barely been alive for 25 years.
You don't got to rub it in.
Another caveat, though, this isn't leave the scene.
You leave the scene, it's a 70%.
Are in the unfortunate position where you have gotten into an accident, you've been drinking, and you have killed someone. Stay at the scene.
If you leave,
do not leave.
If you leave, it not only is it 25 years in prison, you have to serve 70% of that time before you are eligible for parole.
Yes.
Those are real life facts. You see this happen every single year. You read about the accidents, kids gravel traveling. Yep. Families. It's heartbreaking. If it's a serious injury and nobody dies, what's 5 years
5-year minimum
per serious injury, and there's no way around it. Yeah. You know, a broken hip, a broken bone, a broken leg qualifies. So
something less than that might qualify as a serious injury.
Yeah. You know, and so
serious injury could be a scar.
Yes.
Yeah.
Permanent disfigurement.
Yeah.
So it pisses me off that we have these cute road signs for the DOT. We have all this stuff, and they're like, every year there's a new bill saying it should be 50 years, trying to get 50 years.
Yep.
The problem is you cannot have deterrence. So that they're all like, we need higher punishment to deter people from doing this.
You can't have deterrence if it's a secret. Yeah.
You can't have deterrence if you are not out there actively publicizing and saying this is a actual fact.
And that's something that like shocks your conscience when you think like 25 years in prison, they have to. You could be the best person ever. You could have gone to all the treatments. It could be 4 years out since it's happened.
You could be super sorry. It could be your best friend. Yeah. It could be your brother. It could be your sister. And we have those cases, right? Yep. And the judge has no discretion. No. And so we're going to do our part every time we get a chance. Mm-hmm. And that's what we're doing at the end of this, is to throw out that public service announcement of 25 years, mandatory. It's one thing to say, I'm not going to get caught driving drunk. Get it. We're all invincible.
Yep.
But put that into context of $50 Uber.
Yeah.
Okay, let's just say it's a surge like Michaela got from the state fair that one year.
Yep.
$130.
Yeah.
Money well spent.
Yep.
Because the consequences and then a lifetime of having to appreciate and recognize that you took somebody else's life by your selfish decisions will haunt somebody forever as well.
Absolutely.
So take the time, think about things. We've had a lot of fun with this, and we are passionate about people's rights. We're passionate about not using shit science, fake science, to try to lock people up.
And it takes empathy to do art, but it's we all mess up.
Everybody messes up. Make sure you're not the one in that situation, and if you are,
learn your lesson.
You got to be aggressive. You got to defend the crap out of the case, and we're gonna end 2023 on that.
On the good old OWI.
Good old OWI. Now,
see you next year.
If we get renewed, we'll see.
Cheers.
Cheers.
We can't change the past, but we will change your future. GRL Law. Thanks for tuning in to GRL Raw. Check us out at grllaw.com.